Welcome in, everybody. I'm Dr. Profit. You guys have seen me a lot on other forms of social media, Twitter, Discord, TikTok. But today you're seeing me on YouTube on the MC Analytics YouTube page. If you haven't went and watched it already, I posted a video this morning talking about the two primetime games, basically breaking down everything you need to know. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's helpful. But if you're watching this video, it means you want reasoning for the 6 picks I already posted to Twitter. So let's get into it. First off, DeAaron Fox over 28.5 points plus assists. Beautiful hit rate on the season. Obviously has not been doing as well lately. Outside of this Denver game and this Detroit game, I'm honestly not that surprised. I didn't love many of the matchups that he's had recently, so I'm not sweating it too much. The other thing that makes me really like this, one, Nurkic plays modified version of drop coverage in the pick and roll, which means there's a good amount of uncontested pull-up jumpers Fox can have when running the pick and roll. The Suns don't defend the pick and roll well statistically. On the other side, they defend the handoff really well. For anybody who's watched the Sacramento game, you know they love to run that handoff game with Sabonis at the top of the key or the elbow, and have Keegan Murray, Kevin Herter, DeAaron Fox all running off his handoffs. But the issue with that is the Suns defend the handoff at the third best rate in the NBA. The reason this is important for other players, and less so DeAaron Fox, Keegan Murray and Kevin Herter, that consists of 20 to 25% of their shots, their plays. For DeAaron Fox, it's only about 5%. On the other hand, the Suns are really good at defending inside the paint, which means Sabonis shouldn't be getting too much work either. What's left for there to score other than DeAaron Fox? So even though DeAaron Fox runs some handoff, he's the only one that really gets to score in ways that aren't limited by Sacramento, whether it be the pick and roll, the transition, the ISO. So when nobody else really has an opportunity to score, why wouldn't he score? And the reason I'm taking 28.5 PA is because he was at 24.5 points by the time I took it. I was going to take it at 23.5. And the difference between 28.5 and 24.5 was only 4. Meanwhile, assists was juiced over 4.5. So I thought we got a point of value, and we did, considering it's bumped to 29.5 now. However, if you like 24.5 points over the 29.5 PA, by all means, go and do it. I got it at 28.5. I'm sticking strong there. Now, my favorite pick of the day, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander over 43.5 PRA. And the reason I really love this, Orlando gives up so many pull-up shots. They give up the second most on the season, or the second highest frequency. If you want to look at the last 15 games, I think they're 6th. The reason this is important, if you look at teams that are bottom half of the league, bottom 15, he is 17 of 24 on the season for 32 or more points. His points line is 31.5. And 3 of those misses, he didn't even play 30 minutes. The reason this is important, when he plays 30 or more minutes, he's hit this in 25 of 41 games. So the hit rate is there. And that's just for PRA. If we want to look at points, we can do that as well. If we look at points, he's hit in 26 of 41 games. So 1 extra game. So why am I taking PRA instead of just points? Well, if we want to look at how recent point guards have done against Orlando, they've done really well. Caruso himself got 9. Kobe White, 11. Caruso is hardly even a point guard. Kobe White got 11. Terry Rozier, 13. Cade Cunningham, 12. Mike Conley, 14. Trey Jones, 11. Luka, 24. And this is more because of how they've gotten healthy lately. A lot of the roster has been rotating, and now everybody's playing at the same time. So it's more reliable to look at more recent stats here. However, obviously not all of these are 12, 13, 14 RA. But Kobe White's usually averaging around 9.5. Terry Rozier, his line is not usually at 13. These are all outperforming their RA numbers pretty significantly. So Shai is averaging more RA than a lot of these guys. Why wouldn't we expect him to do it too? So I took PRA for some added insurance because, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he went for 30 points, 8 assists, and 6 rebounds. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So I like the added out. And in games where he's hit points, I think he's hit PRA in every game except for 3. So if that happens, I just have to take my L. Next up, Bradley Beal to get over 5.0 assists. Now, as you can see, he's pushed or gone over in 12 of the last 15 games. And if you look at the more recent games, it's even more beautiful because he has been running point a little bit more than Booker has lately if you've been watching these games, which is super encouraging. And it shows in the stats because if we look at the full season, we can see Bradley Beal is averaging 7.2 potential assists, and he's converting on about 66 to 67% of them. And one of the things that I want to make note of before we move forward is the difference between adjusted assist and assist. So adjusted assist is basically when you pass to somebody and they take a shot, then it either goes in and it counts as an assist. It goes in, or they shoot it and it misses, doesn't count. It only counts as a potential assist. But if they shoot it and they get fouled, that counts as an adjusted assist. Basically, if it were to go in, it would count as an assist, but instead they got fouled, so they count it as an adjusted assist. The reason it's important is because the difference here between adjusted and assists is only 1.1. If we look more recently, and this is one of the ways I like to point out regression spots for assists. If we look in the last 10 games, that number is now 1.9. That is a pretty huge gap. Not only that, but his potential assists have gone up from 7.2 to 8.3. We want to look at last 5 games. It gets even better. Beal, 9.6 potential assists, 2 points of difference between adjusted assists and assists. He is passing the ball a lot. His adjusted assists are up. His potential assists are up. And now, not only that, almost 40% of his assists go to the corner three or the short mid-range. 40% doesn't even break halfway, right? Why is that significant? Most players, that number is usually between like 20, 25, even the high ones are at 30. 40% is kind of ridiculous for anybody. The reason that is important is because if we want to look at the last month and which teams are allowing the most assists to which zones of the court, the corner three, Sacramento is allowing the 7th most in the NBA in the last month. For the short mid-range, Sacramento Kings are allowing the 2nd most. So the matchup's there, the hit rate's there, the film is there, and the volume's there. And the efficiency is there because his potential assist conversion rate is ridiculously high. What more can you ask for in a prop? Next up, Nic Claxton under 12.5 points. This line doesn't make any sense. And I'll show you guys why. So Ben Simmons is obviously playing right now, right? Why is that important? Because in the games with Ben Simmons this season, he has only topped 29 minutes once. He's only beat this line with Ben Simmons on the court once, and that was against the Spurs, who don't even count. So he hasn't topped 29 minutes once. Now, let's go check what he does with 31 or less minutes. He's under this line in 20 of 25 games, guys. And if you look at the 5 he's gone over, Spurs suck versus centers. Hook the over versus versus Washington. They suck versus centers. 20 versus Charlotte. They also suck versus centers. And then for some reason, he really likes playing against Bam Adebayo because the other two are both against Miami. But you're telling me 20 of 25 with 3 games being beautiful matchups and 2 being the same team? I don't know what more we could ask for here either. And now we get a Boston team who is allowing the 8th least shots within 5 feet of the basket. And if you want to go check on the numbers with and without Porzingis on the floor, just in case he sits today, because that is a possibility, it also does not change. We can check here, Kristaps Porzingis. If I can find him, that would be super helpful. And we can get the stats. And we can see this column is stat value with Porzingis. This is without Porzingis. And we can look at frequency of shots allowed at the rim. 26% of shots allowed at the rim. This is within 5 feet of the basket with Porzingis on the floor. And that actually gets lower with Porzingis off the floor. So you're telling me that we get a bad matchup, bad volume, and good hit rate? I love that. That's exactly what we want to see. Next up, I'm taking a parlay of Herro to score 20 points and Bam Adebayo to get 4 assists. These are highly, highly correlated, guys. I can't explain that enough, and I can't believe we're getting playable odds for this because, as you can see, without Jimmy Butler and Terry Rozier, Tyler Herro is over this line in 7 of 10 games. Now, 7 of 10, not good, but not crazy. Here's where it gets important. The ones he missed were Clippers, Suns, and Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, what is the Miami Heat way of playing whenever Jimmy Butler isn't on the floor, and now Terry Rozier as well? Handoffs with Tyler Herro and Duncan Robinson. The reason that's important, because they're playing why am I blanking on who they're playing? They're playing the Bucks. Now, I always say target your guards against the Bucks because of the pick and roll. Doc is making a conscious effort in the film room with his guards to get better in the pick and roll. However, in the handoff, the guard defending can't do much without fouling the handoff. So it's more about the help. Brook Lopez is still dropping and drop coverage no matter what they're doing in the film. He's still dropping and drop coverage. The reason this is important is because they allow the 9th highest score frequency versus the handoff in the NBA. So the other part of it that makes it even more enticing, when Bam Adebayo plays against Brook Lopez without Jimmy Butler and plays at least 25 minutes, he has 4 more assists in every single one of those games. 4, 5, 8, 10, 8, 5. So if you wanted to play both these straight up, I wouldn't complain. But watering both of them down when they correlate because Bam Adebayo is going to be running those handoffs with Tyler Herro, it just makes too much sense. We can come here, go to play type, and we can look at how often they're running it together because nobody else is doing the handoff except Adebayo. And we can check the possessions themselves on who's receiving the handoff. And we can see Tyler Herro is getting the 3rd most handoffs in the NBA this season. And you can only imagine, actually, this might be the highest because this is pretty much tied with these two. You can only imagine how much higher that number is going up without Jimmy Butler on the floor. So if that's all they're going to be doing and the Bucks don't defend it well, why wouldn't we take the 2 picks together that correlate with each other? So Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro for 20 plus. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention that I completely skipped over. Like I said, the 3 misses were the Clippers, the Suns, and the Thunder. We come here. We can go back and we can look at how teams defend it. And these are the 3 of the top 5 non-Miami defenses against the handoff. We see Miami's number 1. Memphis and Utah are 2 and 3. Then what do you know? Suns, Thunder, Clippers right there. So you're telling me as long as he's not playing a top 5 handoff team, he's going to get 20 plus? Sounds simple enough, especially in a good matchup. And my last pick of the day was the Lakers and Detroit game to go over 240.5 total points. Now, the reason I did it, there's this system, super complicated system, but all you need to know, 68% win rate, 29% ROI. You can read it, pause it, and read it if you want. That's not the only reason I'm taking it. There's this system, smaller sample size, but beautiful hit rate, where when Pistons are an underdog and they're going against a team that has a bad defense, 16-2 on the season. That's not the only reason I'm taking it. We can come here. Lakers have allowed the 2nd most fast break points and score the most fast break points in the last 14 games. If we want to go look at pace and defensive rating in the last, let's look at the last 10 games. Defensive rating, the Lakers are 6th worst. Pistons also, I believe, are bottom half. Yep, they're 10th worst. We can look at pace. The Lakers are 3rd fastest in the NBA. Pistons are also in that top half. We can just go look at points scored, or points allowed, sorry. And we can check the last 10 games. And we'll see. Lakers, 3rd worst. Detroit, 10th worst. And we can go look at points scored. I think I would be surprised if the Pistons are that high, but I know the Lakers are pretty high. We can check the last 10 games. Lakers, 3rd most points per game. Pistons are still in the top half. And you got to think, too, Killian Hayes is not there anymore. That adds like 15 points to that Detroit Pistons total, if we're being completely honest. So 2 systems, great pace, 2 bad defenses, 2 decently high-scoring offenses. 240.5, it feels like this should be in the high 240s, low 250s range, if you ask me. So 240.5 seems like a pretty generous line. So that's my 6 picks for you guys. Let's go over them again real quick. DeAaron Fox, 28.5 PA. Bradley Beal, 5 assists. Shea, over 43.5 PRA. Nic Claxton, under 12.5 points. Detroit and LA, over 240.5 total points. And Herro and Adebayo to combine for 20 points and 4 assists. I posted this on my Twitter and on my Winnable page if you guys are subscribed to that. But let's run hot today. Good luck, everybody. If you've watched this far, I appreciate you big time. Make sure you like and follow if you haven't already. And I will see you guys on the next video. Take care, everybody.